Thank you for coming. This is so amazing. I always dreamed of having a talk where people block the hallway. So that was one of the last things on my list. So my name is Frank. I work for Databricks, and I don't have a clicker, so I tell people when to advance the slide. If you want to tweet to me, that's my Twitter handle. You can't? Okay, like this? This is better? Okay, right. Okay, so the talk is about the Data Lakehouse. My name is Frank, and that's the Twitter handle. Next slide, please. Can I have the next slide? We have a lot of slides, so. I can even talk about it without having the slide. Well, right. 30 seconds about Databricks. Databricks is a quite unusual company. It wasn't founded by a single person or two or three. It was actually founded by 7 people coming from Berkeley. So a lot of stuff that we do is highly innovative. And you can always feel like, you know, the founders of the company. One of them is still working and actually teaching computer science at Stanford. We have $1 billion in revenue, $3 billion investment from all the big cloud companies, AWS, Azure, and GCP. Next slide, please. And if you think about those really iconic companies that you see on this slide, if you become an iconic company, what's the best sign? The best sign is that they use your company name as a verb. So when I got up this morning, I was staying next to the East Side Gallery in a hotel, and I thought, wow, that's so cool. I want to tweet about it now. And then I wasn't really sure. I thought, is this an original part of the Berlin Wall? So I Googled it, and then I checked with someone at the reception. I said, could I walk to this conference place, or should I Uber to here, you know? So we always use this as a verb, and then sometimes people after the session, they go home, they Netflix and chill, whatever that means. But it's a good sign, you know, that you're really iconic. And those companies, they became iconic because of their usage of data, but also of their usage of AI. So next slide, please. But most other companies, they're not like Google or Facebook or Netflix. They still struggle, you know, to become that good. Next slide, please. And the reason for this is that they have two separate data stacks. They have a data warehouse, and nobody wants to get rid of the data warehouse because this is the single source of truth, you know. If your CEO wants a number like how many cars did the company sell last month, or how much ice cream did you produce after over the course of 1 year, this data is always coming from the data warehouse. But if you think about it, it's always looking backwards, you know. It's generating dashboards, it's generating reports for the last month, the last 6 months, the last year. And what people really want to do is be more innovative and look forwards. So they want to work with this AI stack. And for AI, they're not using the data warehouse. They always put data in a data lake, and then they try to run AI on the data lake. And this is part of the problem. Actually, this gap in the middle is part of the problem. Next slide, please. If you think about it in a little bit more detail, one back, please. What happens is we have like an incomplete support of use cases. So we do the BI and the dashboards and the SQL analytics on the data warehouse, and then we do the data science and the data streaming and all the advanced stuff on the data lake. And then if you think about security and governance, we all know we are one security breach away from, you know, being really in the news in a way that you don't want to be in the news. But governance and security is so different. On the data warehouse, you deal with tables and SQL statements and all these table ACLs. And in the data lake, you have maybe files, maybe blobs, and you use those IAM rules, and it's a completely different world. Now it's 2 different teams dealing with that. And if you look at the very bottom, it's the data warehouse versus the data lake. And then if people want to do AI and the cool stuff like predicting, you know, how many cars would a company sell next year if the weather is equally hot like this year? Good question, you know, it's forecasting. You need to run AI. but where does the data come from? Most likely from the data warehouse. So it will be copied over. And that's not just a marketing statement. I did a fireside chat with an ex-colleague of mine from AWS. She wrote a book about data science, and she's AWS. And they actually run big data warehouses in the cloud. And I said, look, and she's an AI expert, so I said, if you run your AI stuff, is it true that you really run it here from S3, from your data lake, or do you run it from your data warehouse in the cloud? And she said to me, in this fireside chat, she said, well, sometimes I have data that is here, but then I export it and I put it into S3. So you copy over data, and this is kind of the beginning of the end, and it increases complexity and cost, and you have two separate data teams managing those two separate steps, which is a big thing. Next slide, please. And it doesn't have to be like this. So what we kind of propose and successfully implemented to, with about half of the Fortune 500 companies, is called a data lakehouse. And it's simple, it's multi-cloud, and it's open. It's actually simple because it unifies those two worlds. It unifies a data warehouse and a data lake on the other side. It's one single data management architecture. It's multi-cloud, and typically when I speak to people, I open my laptop, I want to do a demo, and I show them stuff, and then I say, now, which cloud are you working on? And they tell me GCP, Azure, AWS, whatever. And I say, which cloud is my demo running? And they can't tell me because it's the same thing, you know. Once you have the lakehouse running, it's running on any cloud. It's multi-cloud per definition. So, I mean, I spend a lot of time in low-level stuff like doing containers and doing Kubernetes and doing a lot of things like trying to get to a level where it's more cloud independent. But if you start with the lakehouse from the very beginning, it is cloud independent. And the last part, it's open, it's built on open source. When I introduced Databricks, I should have told you that Databricks is actually started by the original creator of Apache Spark. Can I have a show of hands who knows Apache Spark? Okay, that's good, that's good. I'm not in the wrong room, thank you. Can I have the next slide? Right, and that's part of the open story. Obviously, we believe that we have the best solution within the lakehouse, so it comes with governance, it comes with streaming, it comes with notebooks, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about this. But if you like, you can just pick your, well, Confluent Kafka instance on the Confluent Cloud, and you pick dbt for data transformations, and then if you prefer to have your Looker dashboards instead of our SQL dashboards, you can take them. So you can mix and match, and one reason why you can do this is because it's open and it's based on open standards. Can I have the next slide? Right, and sometimes when I do the demo and I start with the open standard, open source part, people say, yeah, we believe that. It's open source, you get it on GitHub, and then you run it, but do you have a company who's successfully using it? So I spoke to my marketing colleagues and I said, can you put this one company that we have on the slide? And they gave me this. So it's actually, there is no vertical where the lakehouse today is not used. And depending on what is more exciting, it's used in financial services, it's used in healthcare, and so on. I'll upload those slides already, so you just, yeah, you can have a look at these anytime. Can I have the next one, please? Right, and now you say, so what's the secret? What's the foundation of the lakehouse? And the foundation is something called Delta Lake. It's an open source project. It's on GitHub. It's actually this thin layer that converts your data lake into a lakehouse. And if you think about the data lake, you're missing all the things you had from the data warehouse. You're missing schemas. You're missing, you know, proper format. You're missing SQL. You're missing speed, you miss ACID transaction, etc. And this is what you get back with this Delta Lake approach. It's open source, you can grab it on GitHub, you can use it, or obviously we have the managed version for the Databricks Lakehouse. This is the link. Once you have the slide, click on the link and you get to the GitHub repository. Can I have the next one? Right, and it's open source now completely, like 100%. We just announced it. There was a big conference in San Francisco, Data and AI Summit, and we announced the release of Delta Lake 2.0, and it gives you, as I said, I don't want to go through all this, don't worry, but it gives you everything from A, like ACID transactions, to Z, like Z ordering. So all the quality of service that you expect from your data warehouse, all of a sudden you have on your data lake. Can I have the next slide? Yeah, and then people say, look, we know Spark, and actually we know Databricks, and very often they say, well, you're the enterprise Spark company, aren't you? This is why we trust you with petabytes of data. So we believe that you can put a layer on top of a data lake, but does it really perform, you know? Is it really like a data warehouse? And the short answer is, yes, it does. The newest version, it's actually serverless. You don't have to create a cluster. You don't have to spin up nodes. You just specify if you just want a small or medium or large instance, like basically t-shirt size. So it's no management, it's auto-scaling, it's low TCO. And then the other thing is the speed, you know. Is it performant enough? And I'm not standing here and telling you, look, there's this magic switch or this super secret algorithm that we apply. It's not like that. It was a lot of work during a lot of time, and we really tried to hire the best people to make this really efficient. And this is like, that's just the technical speed up that we get. It's like 3 times, and if you do price performance, it's up to 12 times if you consider the price as well. Can I have the next slide? Right, so usually I would like to show you a demo, but here I was told this is not really possible because of the setup. So if I can't bring my demo to you, I thought I'd bring you to the demo. So the good thing is I just did this demo like, was it like 4 weeks ago at the Data and AI Summit in San Francisco? And I had a group of data engineers, data scientists, and I said, imagine you start a new job and your boss tells you, look, there are those kind of applications that keep track of how people talk about us as a company, about our products. So they scan social media, they use AI and classify, do people talk in a positive or negative way about us? How would you build that? I mean, I guess most of you are data engineers, data scientists. Could you build that? How long does it take to build that? How would you build that with Databricks, with the Lakehouse? And that's what I want to show you. Because I can't type, I'll show you on slides. Can I have the first slide? Now the next one, yeah, the first slide of the demo. So that was actually the setup in San Francisco. I was tweeting. So the thing is, I wanted to classify tweets using Hugging Face sentiment analysis. So the idea was I tweet something amazingly positive about the product that we have for Delta or DLT. So that was the live tweet. And as you know, Twitter is producing lots of data. It's a data stream. Next slide, please. So the idea was to build something like this. I wanted to capture this Twitter live stream, put it in a data lake like everyone does, you know, like it's in a data lake, but it's a pile of data and I can't really deal with it. So the idea was to use a data pipeline to ingest it, to find out the schema, and then incrementally improve the data quality. From Twitter, you get like 40 different columns, and all I want is the text, and then I want to classify the text and run a little bit of magic sentiment analysis using Hugging Face. So the interesting thing is we need to ingest streaming data. We need to talk to a data lake. We don't want to copy over the data a lot, but we need to ingest it. We need to incrementally improve the data quality. And then we need to run the ML. Can I have the next slide? And this is how it starts. It actually starts with a notebook, like the Jupyter notebooks that you all know. So we have notebooks in the Lakehouse. They're based on the Jupyter kernel, so they're compatible. They're enterprise scale. So unlike Jupyter, which is not that easy to scale, I tried it myself, they just scale. They're collaborative, so you can use them like GDocs and edit at them with different people at the same time. And they do work for, I mean, Python, SQL, and R, and Scala, etc. So this was just using the Tweepy API to get the tweets. And then at the end, I write them to a DBFS file system, which is an abstraction on top of S3. Can I have the next slide? Right. And now the question is, well, it's in a data lake, but didn't I just tell you the data lake is not enough because, you know, we want SQL and transactions and all this quality of service? And the answer is yes. Now, how do you get from the data lake to the lakehouse? Well, we ingest it. There's something built in which is called autoloader. And I mean, I guess all of you have written scripts to import CSV data, to import JSON data, to connect to Kafka. The way you do it here is like 2 lines. It's literally, give me everything from this directory, which is mapped on top of S3, which are JSON files. And these are all the tweets. They're ingested. The cool thing here is, this is a streaming table. So it's updated continuously. It keeps states. When you send new files, it will just update and reload a new file. So it's like exactly once. It keeps track of what it has read already. Remember that table name, it's the Bros table. This is how it starts. Next slide, please. Now, with this Bros table here, I create another table. I create a silver table, and this is where I gradually improve the data quality. When I was building this demo, I thought like, yeah, I ingest all the tweets, but I was ingesting Spanish tweets and German tweets. Now guess what? The ML Hugging Face thing is trained for English language. So you shouldn't feed it Spanish tweets, it will go wrong. So what I'm doing here is I say, well, I have a constraint. That's all pure SQL, by the way, so everyone can do it. Even I can do it. So what I do here, I say, well, the language, I expect it's English. If it's not English, then if it's violated, then just drop the record. So I drop rows that I don't need for the ML. And at the same time, I drop columns because from the 40 columns that I get from the tweets, I only take the ID, the language, and the text. And actually, I care about the language. So next one, please. And this is what I want to build. I mean, actually, it's cool. I need 2 more minutes. Actually, by defining the SQL, it's a declarative way of building these data pipelines. That's the runtime view. That's where I ingest the data. At the end, I do an aggregation. I count the different languages. But as you know, there is like 3 now. I only want English. And this is the silver table, like the improved quality from Bros. Next one, please. Right. And remember when I told you it's data science, data engineering, but at the same time, it is the data warehouse. Where's the data warehouse now? People say, you always show us the Jupyter notebooks. If you switch to the SQL persona, you get your data warehouse view with an SQL editor, with syntax highlighting, code completion, schema browsing, data lineage, and all the things you would expect. And it's the same view because it's the same data, it's the same table format. It's all going back to Delta Lake. Next one, please. These are the 10 tweets that were classified by the Hugging Face ML model as the most as those with the highest probability of being positive. It's not easy to say. It's just a list. Next one, please. There was live tweets where people were tweeting about this while I was talking. That's like 7% I had negative. So if you do 100 minus 7, it's 93% positive or neutral. It's not bad, you know. I was collecting tweets about our products and the company. So 93% positive or neutral is pretty good, I would say. Next one. That's a word cloud I built. So you see it was a Data AI Summit, Databricks. DLT is the core product for building data pipelines. Next one. I have 2 more, I think. Yeah, okay. I was struggling with this notebooks, doing that manually. You can orchestrate it. You don't need Airflow externally. It's a built-in orchestrator. Next one. Yeah, you can watch the whole demo if you want to see it, how I did it. It's on YouTube. Just click on the link. There are the notebooks on GitHub. You can play with this yourself. Next slide, and that might be the last one. These are my details. Feel free to connect. If you have questions, come to me. I'll be around. Thank you for listening, and thank you for blocking the hallway. I always wanted to do a talk where people block the hallway. Thanks.